What's up, guys? My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton Sehan, and this is Swiftfire True TV. And apparently, what is the new name? The Truth Matters. And
yeah.
So we are here today. We have some exciting guests back with us today, and this is just fun. It feels like very easy and fun, and just hanging out. But we're going to talk about some cool things. And so I'm really excited. You guys, please go to swiftfire.org, get on the newsletter. I've had a little bit of more censorship this week, and that is a little annoying. But so if you guys can get on the newsletter, then you absolutely know what's going on. In the meantime, also just want to, I guess we'll go around and introduce everybody. But Tyler and Aaron and Laura have a conference coming up too. So I hope that you guys can share a little bit about that. We're really, really excited. So let's just start off. We'll go around and just share a little bit about who you guys are and whatever else you want to say, and then we'll get going. Tyler, I'll start with you.
Well, thanks for having us back. We're glad to be here for the Red Pill Pow Wow. You know, it's funny for those listening. Sharnael was trying to think of a name, and I jokingly said that, and she's like, "I love it." I'm like, "No, you're not serious." I was just kidding around, but it ended up sticking. So we're gonna have a Red Pill Pow Wow today. But yeah, the conference you mentioned is coming up May 2nd through the 5th, like a month away. We're super excited about it. Secret Space Conference, Grafton, Illinois. There's plenty of tickets still available if you can make it. If you want to make it, come on out. The on-site lodging itself is sold out, but there's nearby hotels, Airbnbs, and camping if you want. Come hang out. It's going to be amazing. I'm really excited more than anything just to connect with everybody in person. Yes. And just it's going to be not only a conference, but like a little vacation. You know, it's just going to be a break from the screen, from the Zoom calls and all that stuff. Yeah. And there's a lot of great speakers going to be there. So for those who don't know, I'm Tyler for Journey to Truth podcast, and that's my introduction. Aaron, your turn.
Yeah, I'm Aaron from Journey to Truth podcast, and yeah, like Tyler said, we have the conference coming up in a little over a month. It's going to be amazing. Hope to see everyone there. You can find the link in like any of our descriptions of our shows to the site to buy your ticket. Yeah, I can't wait to get into this discussion and have a Red Pill powwow.
Yeah.
Awesome, Aaron. All right, who's next?
Go on, Laura. Who are you?
Hey, yeah, I'm Laura Eisenhower, and thrilled to be here with all you guys. And I am so excited to be a part of this event. It's such a beautiful location. I saw the picture. I was just like blown away. So that's going to be really cool. A nice retreat where like-minded people come together and just like really figure stuff out, beyond figure it out. It's where the truth frequency can just begin to ripple out into the collective and really, I feel, turn things around. I don't think I'm just going to go into like a bio too much, but you can find more information about me on my website, cosmicgaia.org. I've just been a public speaker for a while and focus on topics related to disclosure, exopolitics, and things that have largely been held in secrecy. And I'm always finding new information. I have a lot of new stuff to share that that has come to light in the last year. So that's pretty cool. And definitely focus mostly though on this planetary body and what's really going on a cosmic and earthly level, and why this is considered a ascension window period, and what that really means in connection with our DNA, and just so much more. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I love what you said about the ripple effect of us all getting together. That does make a difference. It has I'm sure it has a measurable effect on the consciousness, and not only that, it's just individual activations that happen when people are together and certain information is being shared. Everybody's just being turned on. You know, at these conferences, you're getting chills all week long, you know, and then every time you get the chills, it's almost like the truth bumps or you're like ascending just a little bit more each time, you know, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you have any like group meditations planned or anything like that at the event?
We don't have anything planned, but I do know there are some individuals that are gonna be there who are planning stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave it in their hands, but I'm certain people are gonna be getting stuff together like that. So.
And that's what I love about these events and stuff. I think the days of kind of celebrity worship in the way that we've had it in the past is over. We're a community, you know, and we're all on the same wavelength. We're all, you know, we all go to the toilet. We're all human. You know what I mean? And I love it. No, sorry, yeah, Sharnael doesn't.
Except for Sharnael.
Don't women fart potpourri? I can't remember. Anyway, sorry, did I say that? Yeah, I think, like you say, being physically together, I think there's an exponential sort of effect, and certainly a cosmic effect as well. And you could all get, you know, on the same wavelength. And when you have somebody sort of giving a presentation and sort of steering the thoughts in that direction, it's a very powerful thing. I mean, I've been to conferences for years, certainly in the church scene and all that. And there's something so dynamic when people with the same heart, the same interest come together for the same purpose. And what better reason to do it than the truth and finding out what the heck is going on the planet, in the cosmos, and the amazing guests that you've got on as well. I mean, you've got a heck of a lineup there, guys. Amazing whistleblowers, people who carry things that we really need to learn. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
well,
Thank you.
Proximity actually matters scientifically, and I mean we can get so much through the internet and the screen, but I measure fields with soul audits, and you know, different people have different fields as far as not only what's contained in the field, but also just the whole measuring of how big it is. And like I've measured people who are completely inverted, meaning that they don't actually have a biofield, they just suck off everybody else's. And then there's some that are like 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, all the way up to 20 feet is the largest I've measured on people. So when you're literally with people, you pick up on what's going on, and there is an activation. There can be an activation. There can also be a dumbing down depending on who you're with. So it's really important who you're with. But this group and this lineup is really, really amazing. And I do see a lot of potential activations and just aha moments just by proximity. And can you tell us a little bit, like who's coming? I know there's a list and I posted it several places, but give us a little teaser on some of these guys who's going to be there besides y'all.
I'll just read through the list and then we can break it down after that. So we have Jackie Kenner, Daryl James, Suzanne Spooner, Mark Demizio, Tony Rodriguez, Rebecca Rose, Jermaine Chavez, Kate Buckley, Laura Eisenhower, James Rink, Jody Reynosa, Johann Fritz, and then we have Ivan Teller, Matthew Mornian going to be there doing private sessions, and then Lala Deaton is, if you guys don't know who she is, she's a musician, songwriter, and she's going to be the entertainment for the week. So we're really looking forward to that. But I mean, yeah, if you don't know who all of those people are, everyone's been on our show. A lot of them are whistleblowers. Some of them are just researchers, experiencers, but they're people who we believe to be among the most credible as far as their stories. You know, some people are out there. They're in it for the right reason. They're coming forward for the right reason.
Yeah, and that's a biggie too. It's like not only that they're coming in for the right motives, but also that they're actually giving real good information that's truthful instead of, you know,
Yeah.
we've all seen the fakes. So, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. And what I really love is the fact that this is so multidimensional. We're talking about what's been happening, you know, in space, where the larger picture really exists that gets stepped down into the physical plane, but it's hidden behind the scenes, and we see it emerge in certain ways in our society and culture, but unless we really call it out, we remain unconscious or sort of on autopilot. So when we give attention to this, when we give energy to it, it begins to switch on the unconscious. It begins to sort of become the override frequency where there's no sort of ability to enslave something that is compartmentalized or locked in a sort of archived closet because one can't access the memories. So when we switch all that on, I mean, that's the very thing they don't want, or they wouldn't go out of their way to ensure that there'd be so much, secrecy. And one of the biggest tactics is disinformation, because they know that this stuff is going to come out. So, okay, let's kind of scramble their heads and make it real difficult by just like putting out a lot of disinformation and difficult information, and all these different campaigns, smear campaigns, or divide and conquer tactics, and all these dark technologies and weaponry to just like really make it difficult. I just feel that like we're going to harness the 5D and beyond, because the 5G and everything else is the weaponized version of ascension, the weaponized version of our capacity to upgrade. And when we, come with mutual love and respect to be a part of this greater conversation, to kind of like sort through the information so we can push away the disinformation as we kind of all work together, I feel like we're going to help to neutralize and de-weaponize all the stuff that is affecting humanity, because the truth frequency and switching on the unconscious so that we remember our multidimensional self is the ultimate power. And of course, our connection with spirit and earth. So
beautiful.
We got to do this all year long.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really important point, Laura, because there was something I was going to say that, with everything that we're seeing going on in the world that we've been experiencing, and certainly for the past couple of years, and now it's shifted into a war narrative. I think we need to understand that this isn't just involving what's going on this planet, that there are things going on in other dimensions, other realms, and certainly other planets, that there is a so-called war in the heavens. And I think what's happening down here is a reflection of what's going on there. And like you just said, I think we need to remember that. We need to remember that we are a part of that, and energetically, even though our bodies are rooted on this planet, we're all connected to what's going on there as well. So some days you might get up and feel like utter crap, and it might not be anything that's going on, but it's something that's going on up there that you're connected to. I mean, I do.
Bingo.
We talk about it, and so when you have this conversation, you bring it into the open and bring that understanding of what is going on out there. It will help people to process it and overcome it. That's my view, anyway.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I 100% agree with that. Like when you wake up feeling like shit and you're doing something, it's called a quantum echo or bleed through from your probably a parallel life, another timeline, whatever you're doing in the astral. I'm pretty certain at this point that everyone, if not the majority of people, are involved in some sort of programmer. They may even have clones and alters that they're unaware of. Mm-hmm. The more and more people I'm talking to, this is just like, this is how they operate. This is a business for these groups, unfortunately. And yeah, there are some benevolent aspects to it, and there are benevolent groups working with these people and doing things. But when you wake up and you feel exhausted, most likely that's the bleed through. That's the quantum echo. You're feeling that. You're feeling the physical effects of what you're going through. And that's where some people really want to remember. They're like, no, fuck that. Like, if I'm going to be feeling this, I want to remember what the hell I'm doing. And some people go on that journey to try and remember, and some people don't want to remember. But it's very interesting to think about it that way.
Well, and I can tell you too, just from my own experiences, and I'm sure everybody that you guys talk to have the same thing, is when certain traumas or different memories are in the DNA and it's just there's certain things that can trigger those memories to come back. And as you listen to different people or different things, if it's something that was a part of what you experienced, that could turn that on, and then you can have a mass amount of memories to bleed through, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God. And then you see other things too, and it gives a bigger, fuller picture to be able to actually understand if you were a part of any of that, former things that maybe have been suppressed or, pushed down, or maybe you're wiped out, and but we're seeing more and more people come forward with like, oh my God, this happened to me. Or maybe they thought those things were just like a weird imagination. I know that's what it was for me. It was like, why do I keep seeing these things? Why have I had all this stuff forever? And then I hear someone talk about their story, and I'm like, oh my God, I did not make that up in my head. This actually happened. And it's a bit of a, it's emotional when it happens, and it can be, if it was traumatizing, but also it's like good to know, and and then where do you go from there, kind of thing. So you guys bringing so many different people together with so many different testimonies, those testimonies are really the thing to ignite and to activate others into remembering and to being their full potential.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you guys experienced that too, where you're like, oh my God, you had this guy on your show and now blah, blah, blah? Or I know Laura's had that too with her stuff, but have you guys seen that or heard that?
Define blah, blah, blah.
Like people underground or off planet, or just different situations where people may have had experience with seeing a UFO, or maybe they were abducted or whatever, but they just like, it was suppressed or they were wiped, and it was very varied, but they maybe had glimpses or pictures of it. And then they hear someone talk about a similar event, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
That's real. Like, maybe they thought they were crazy. I know I thought I was crazy, and I just thought like I had a really good imagination until things started coming forward. And then I was like talking to my parents about it and finding out, oh my God, I have backup. I have like real confirmation about some physical things that were put in place that actually happened.
Right.
And, it's a little bit crazy, but
I would say that's the majority of our comments. Or people being like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had this guest on. It just unlocked so many things for me, or this answered so many questions, or now I don't feel crazy, whatever. I mean, Aaron, yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I see the comments where it'll trigger something and somebody, like their own memories, like you just said, and things come to them. And whether they've been in the programs or an abduction or whatever it may be, something that was previously kind of hidden. And then also what I see a lot is people that, because of a guest and because of certain information, it will like put these pieces together for them and create like a picture of, it's like an aha moment, or like, oh, so much makes sense now. It's like it clicked, or it was like the one missing piece of information they didn't have that they needed for like a full picture to form. I see kind of comments like that a lot, which is really cool. And that's cool because that's happened to me so many times from watching shows and interviews and different things, where somebody will talk about their experience or certain information that makes a light bulb go off in my head, and I'm like, oh my God, I just realized something huge from this. It was like a missing piece that I needed, or it tied like so much together. And that's powerful, and that can be very activating as well. And yeah, it's like, all this, all these whistleblowers coming out now. I don't think it's a coincidence that right now we're seeing more than ever before so many whistleblowers and so many people getting their memories back and waking up to all this stuff and coming out about all this stuff. It's a part of the awakening. It's a part of the ascension. It's a part of the truth in every aspect coming to the surface and being revealed. And this is the secret space program is one of the deepest hidden truths that's been going around for a long time, that it's very traumatic as well, and very like dark truths also. And it's being exposed now in a very big way. And it's pretty exciting, because while one aspect of it's very dark and scary, the other, it's very liberating to know that all this is coming out and being revealed to people, to the technology that we actually have, that we know is, it's already in the process of being made available to humanity. And a lot of this information is showing that the deep state, these dark controllers, are being taken out, are losing power. And the awakening is happening. All this stuff is actually happening. It's a lot of proof of that. So right. Pretty exciting.
It's really huge to be uncovering all this, because we have the micro and macro world. So on a micro level, switching all this on is like exposing everything. And when everything's exposed, I mean, it's a whole different story. And what's so amazing about a lot of the speakers and a lot of the people that have recalled their memories is they immediately like become like immense like healers, or they have all sorts of healing protocols and modalities that can really help a person. Like Tony Rodriguez has this Patreon group where he helps people to recover their memories. Rebecca Rose does like all sorts of amazing work in her session work to assist people in incredible ways. People like Kathy O'Brien wrote the book PTSD, A Time for Healing. I mean, look what Dr. Sharnael's done with her book, you know, about, you know, miracles. And, you know, I do readings all the time, and all of us being in service, right? So like when we go through it, when we awaken, when we begin to recall things, when we begin to get really switched on, then the gifts that come from it to help other people through it is available, which can just really, really help a lot of individuals that otherwise wouldn't know where to go, because you're not going to find this from your mental health person or doctor, or I mean, there's nothing in society that can handle these kind of things. And it's us, the experiencers and the healers and the ones that can acknowledge these kind of truths that can help people just get to the other side. And that's where we get to be liberated from the system too, because we don't need all of that. It doesn't really solve anything. It wants to really manipulate it, medicate it, and project upon it something that isn't true. And what I love about all of us is that we're all highly skilled in being able to manage these sort of things, these traumas and memory recalls, in a way that really, really nurtures a person into becoming whole again and solid and in their spiritual purpose and divine center, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're doing this type of work, work by work, I mean, just, you know, part of disclosure, you have to get good at the healing process and understand it, because if you don't, you're going to be met with so much resistance. Life is not going to be easy, because as you disclose things in your life become apparent, things start to surface, and you have to integrate all that. And there's no option to just ignore that or that's not even an option. If you do, you're going to physically become painful. Life is going to get hard. Things aren't going to work out for you. So if you want to assist others in this movement, you have to really help yourself first. You can't we can't pour from an empty cup. And that's what a lot of people need to understand more than ever right now, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, when we do get some form of disclosure, what good are we going to be for everyone else who needs us, who's going to at that point really rely on us and come to us for answers? And if we hadn't been taking care of ourselves this whole time, we're just not going to be we're not going to be able to help them. Well, like we should be able to.
Yeah, I know for myself, like I think everyone was picked because of the already healing opportunities or intuition or whatever the gifting is. And you can keep that and not use it for good, or you can take whatever they meant for harm and use it for good. I mean, like with the book, two of my books that came were out of 100% contact. I mean, it literally just like fell on me. I had an encounter and wrote it out in 12 hours. And so it's like, and then later when I met someone else, I'm not going to bring up someone who was a part of the program with me, who's no longer here. I get upset every time. But when I saw one of the videos, I'm not even kidding you. Like, and I don't share this with a lot of people, but he was saying the words that are in my book. And the video had just been posted 2 days earlier. And my book had been out for years. And I literally watching. And another person that was a part of the same program, I was on the phone with them because I was like, I cannot believe this guy is saying what is in my book. So somehow we were given this information, and it came back, right? And I said, is it possible? Anyway, so I'm on the phone with one of the guys in the program as I'm watching someone who was in the program with me, and basically, as I'm watching it, literally, I'm asking a question about this guy. The guy turns on the interview, looks straight at me, and he answers the question and then goes back to the interview. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm really talking about it, but it's bizarro. Like this stuff, but it does make you feel less crazy to meet with other people gone through some of these things, and it does bring a lot of healing as much as it brings like a lot of other things. And then we get on board and we're like, all right, you know what? It happened again, but heal and, you know, activate, heal, restore, do whatever, and then send out masses of help for anyone in this situation who's ever been through any of this. And let's use it for where we are now in this time, in this season, with this planet and exactly where we are. Like, we are here and we are born for this. And I'm not letting anything that happened to me be a thing that's going to keep me from helping someone. Like, this is our time. And you guys bringing these group of people together, this is going to be a mass healing. I mean, people are going to just be popping and getting information back and getting restored and getting that healing back, and then using our gifts to freaking change the literal world on a collective level. And that's what I want to do. And I know that's what you guys' heart is too. So it's not just about getting people together, but there's people who get people together who have bad motives. You know, whether it's for money or just for fame or whatever. You guys are doing this out of love and out of actual community and out of like helping and serving and bringing this world to a better place. And that's what I love about you guys, is that this is actually for a cause, and it's not for a dollar or for any kind of fame or, you know, whatever,
or recognition or anything like
Right.
Yeah.
It's a passion project. That's, I mean, whenever we had the idea to put on a conference, that's all it was. It was like, there was no motive besides, we could do this. This would be awesome. Let's see, you know, let's do this. You know, there was no other thought. That's how, when we started the podcast, we had no like future outlook. You just kind of jump into it. Next thing you know, you have something created, and then it starts all working out and things fall into place because you were doing it from the heart.
Yes.
And that's key, I think.
Yeah.
And that's totally what, you know, Craig was saying. It's like the whole world of like kind of celebrity, or just kind of like showing up for, you know, reasons that don't have to do with the most critical priority on the planet right now. All that stuff is good, you know, entertainment and this and that, and nothing wrong with it. But this is the kind of thing that like it just, the two don't go hand in hand of it being about that kind of world. I mean, this is like, we're in a war. This is like coming together like as a team, like on such a profound level to like address this on the deepest of levels, without being afraid to lift all the different layers up that we need to lift so that we can do what we need to do. And that's why I'm glad that I'm able to come in with what I'm coming in with. I wasn't in projects or programs. I was recruited though to go off planet, and have learned a lot about the Earth Alliance, the Sphere Beings, and the USMC Special Section, and all these different things put in place, including the white hats that are established to counteract all this darkness on that level. And I know I've had these experiences in past lives. I mean, I think so many, like millions of humans have had experiences, maybe in secret space programs. So regardless of where on the timeline you might have gone through that, or what kind of earthly incarnation you've had, you know, trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter what degree it is. It's just, it's going to really play a huge role in appeasing something in people that are exposed to it. And like I said in the beginning, the ripple effect that people won't even know what hit them. I almost feel like, you know, this is like the most important year when we look at the planetary aspects as well, because of the Pluto returns, right? So it's like death, rebirth, alchemy, transformation, which they're trying to hijack. They're trying to pull us into this, you know, like siphoning and harvesting it to continue the artificial timeline, to continue the New World Order agenda, to weaponize all of this so that we are stunted in the birth canal, and we are fearing death, fearing viruses, fearing everything, instead of this greater transformation that's going to allow humanity to rise like the phoenix and be in this most unbelievable like phase in our human like progression. And when we remember what it's really about, and we're able to move through this initiation in alignment with truth and clarity and love and support and community and connection to the earth, this is the thing that they fear the most. And this is what they've been targeting for thousands and thousands of years, is these moments, this particular window that we're in right now, that we are saying, no, 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 you can't have it. And we're going to guide it. We're going to direct it. And I know it's going to have an immense impact on the whole planet, because they utilize all these planetary aspects to pull us into the shadow side of it so that they can maintain the control. But we're breaking down that Saturn moon matrix, and the whole nature of Saturn's changing. And then boom, Pluto's about to move into Aquarius. Saturn's already in Aquarius. Venus is about to be conjunct Aquarius. And the power of the Venus and Mars conjunctions as well in Aquarius. I mean, it's just like on a cosmic and earthly level, this is happening. And our job as humans is to get on board and integrate it, embody it, and not be distracted and pulled away to the point where we are, being used and weaponized and assimilated into AI and something that takes away our ability to think for ourselves. And that's why it's so incredible when survivors talk, because they were able to overcome the most unbelievable mind control starting from infancy, and things that were put into their bodies, and manipulations that created sort of a cyborg, sort of hybrid, they were able to overcome that. So if they can, all the human race can overcome the assaults that we see with the whats and the dark technologies. And to me, that's the greatest leadership, is those that have been able to pull through and hold the light. That gives hope to the whole human race that they can do the same.
Wow. I don't think you know what you're talking about, Laura. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was. That was amazing. So spot on.
Right. How do you follow that?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was just thinking before, how a question to sort of everyone really. I know a lot of people who are really, really like this topic of conversation really does something deep in them, but they have no memories of being involved. There's no, as far as they're aware anyway. Why do you think that is? Why do you think this subject is so appealing to some people? Like I'll speak from my own experience. I was not looking for this at all. I was on my spiritual walk and I was doing my thing. And yeah, like everyone, I was on a bit of a downer on life and blah blah blah. And I came across a certain TV program on Gaia, and it just ignited me, like in a way that I never heard anything before. And I was just like looking at the sky, like my mind just went kaboom,
Yeah.
I have no memories of being involved with these things. So why do you think that is? Why do you think that would have an effect on somebody?
Because you are a part of it. And when you heard that information, part of you was remembering that, and it was activating you. This wasn't just like, oh wow, that you watched a program on the History Channel like Ancient Aliens and like, oh cool, that's interesting. Right. This information, it hits you at a soul level.
Yes.
And the only reason it does that is because there is an aspect of you somewhere out there that is a part of this, that knows this, that remembers this. And most of the time when people are learning about this information, they're not learning anything. They're just they're being reminded of what they already know.
Yes.
And that's what I think. And that's what I think happens, because now for the first time ever, you start remembering this stuff and you feel like you have you feel a sense of purpose in life for the first time. Like you actually feel like you kind of know what you're doing here now, as opposed to just going through life on autopilot all the way up until that point, which is what they want. They want everybody just blindly, going through the motions, being told what to think and how to think and what to do and how to act. But I definitely think that the reason you felt that is because on some level, there's an aspect of you out there that's involved.
I agree. Yeah. And I like how you brought up remembering, because the book that I wrote, the last book that I wrote, is The Science of Miracles, remembering the frequency of love. And ultimately, everything is frequency and we're all energy, but there must be something that you connected with, Craig, and even us all getting together. There's something familiar, or like there's a vibe there that's
I feel at home in conversations like this with people like yourselves. Definitely. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yes. And then you also can feel it whenever it's not love, and it's like a yuck feeling. It's a vibe that you feel that it's just like, no, I'm not interested. And And I've been measuring this too. I mean, this has caused me to really dive into this, to the measuring part, because anything measurable can be managed. And when you start looking at stuff, then I can pay attention to my intuition and go, oh, no wonder this is, you know, a bad measure. And, you know, and this isn't where I'm at, or this isn't, you know, and you can see differences in different people too. And so I like the technology part of it too, because we are actually the technology. Our intuition is the technology. We have the DNA to do all the things, whether it's transportation or, you know, flying or walking on water, or, you know, telepathic healing and or talking to each other, or, you know, all remote healing. All of this is like what we're actually born to do. And we're all just triggering those things. And maybe trigger isn't a good word. Activating, I think Aaron said, or one of y'all, and that's better. I like the activation of the DNA to move into all the things that we were actually supposed to be here for right now anyway. And we're finding each other. We're all in that vibe. We're like, oh, and it just feels familiar and fun and easy and natural.
You know,
Yep.
We had Ivan Teller on our show. He's an ET channeler, or just a channeler. And at the end of one of the shows, he started channeling, and, you know, channeling is channeling, whatever, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But it was interesting because I specifically asked, I said, I asked about the med beds and when we could expect some sort of rollout, and whatever ET he was channeling, he's like, what came through is, you are the med beds. The humans are the med beds. Like, you don't have to wait for that technology to come out. You can do it yourself. And that was the answer. And that was so profound. I was like, that's true. Because we talk about this all the time. You know, if your trapped emotions and suppressed emotions can create sickness and cancer and physical ailments, if you learn how to process those emotions and free them and get your chakras in line and balance and everything flowing, therefore you should be able to heal yourself, just like you can make yourself sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going.
Oh, I just want to say, so, yeah, like you said, we are the technology, and that is linked to our level of consciousness and our spirituality to access that. And the reason, so like whenever any planet or any society advances way far technologically but not spiritually, is usually when they destroy themselves, because they get way out of balance and they rely on the technology to do all these things rather than themselves, and therefore you're not able to develop those skills and to
It's a crutch.
Develop that and grow. Yeah, and it becomes a crutch. Exactly. It's kind of like, you know, you can see it in our lives. Anyone that has some kind of crutch or relies on something their entire life, but because of that they never develop that, because you're constantly relying on something and depending on. So, because right now as a society we are still very, even though we're still primitive technologically, you know, relatively speaking, our spirituality needs to catch up to our technology. So, like, on one hand, yes, we do have all this, you know, we do have the med beds and the free energy and a lot of very advanced stuff. But if they were to release it all at once with our current level of spirituality and consciousness, you know, speaking generally of the majority, because this group here, obviously, I feel like we're all, you know, pretty far down that road, but even still, we have a ways to go. But if they were to release it all at once, it's kind of like giving a machine gun to a baby, you know, it's kind of like giving a very dangerous, a very powerful tool that can be dangerous in the wrong hands. So, you know, a big shift that's going to have to happen is in consciousness and spirituality, and that it is happening, but at the same time, there's got to be a balance there with the technology. Otherwise, it's gonna be very, you know,
same loop again.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's people that talk about whether there's going to be this like kind of instantaneous ascension moment or shift. That could be possible to a degree. I don't think it's, you know, the whole like, oh, we're gonna all shift immediately into 5D and like a different realm immediately. I know that's kind of like a new age belief out there. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how it's going to work. But I do think there might be moments where, whether it's from a solar flare or something that shifts us dramatically in consciousness on a collective level.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I do think we're moving up in consciousness very rapidly right now. But because of that, and because of the energies that the planet's moving into is a big cause of that. We're seeing all the negativity and the chaos come to the surface because it's triggering all, everyone's stuff that we've had kind of suppressed down. So it's kind of making everything come up to the surface and causing all this chaos. That it's great because now we can deal with it and now we can clear it.
Exactly.
Rather than it being suppressed down and then just constantly building and negatively affecting us, So
I just want to insert one thing. Yeah, just real quick about, this event or whatever. I mean, to me, it's part of the cycles of nature. It's like, a caterpillar is not just going to ascend. It has to go through the metamorphosis. It has to go into the cocoon. It has to go into the dark night of the soul. It has to it's just like it's all encoded in nature, because this is really like a part of the planet Earth, like on a metaphorical level, kind of coming out of its own underworld, the mother energy being anchored on the planet. It's like we're resurrecting the planet from the just sort of the Baphomet dark mother reversals and all these things that have created inversion. And you have to kind of like go into that inversion to rebirth with it, like go into the soil, go into the depths. And then when we come out, it's like it moves at the speed of whatever that takes, instead of it just being like one big like event. Is like it's very much a part of like something cyclical, something encoded in nature and encoded in our soul that we have gone through so many times, like in our own personal lives. But on a massive scale, humanity's going through it, and this rebirth transformation cycle that of course they are trying to prevent. So anyway, I just want to insert that.
That's really good. Sorry, Sharnael. Just while we're on the topic before of kind of like doing the inner work, I think it was Alex Collier. I was just trying to think. I think Alex Collier said that the med beds are actually responsive to your energy system. So if you're in a negative vibration, it will enhance that. And so, I'm sure it was Alex Collier that said that. And so basically, I think what's happening at the moment, sort of globally, like you just said, Aaron, it's bringing up all the crap for us to deal with and get rid of. So we're prepared for this technology.
Exactly.
Ultimately, we are the technology that it responds to, if that makes sense, if that resonates.
It's sort of like a mirror that we're growing into. It's like, okay, we're stepping into these shoes now. We have to, we can't rely on it. We have to allow it to inform us. We have to be in relationship to it so it can activate us, but we're also understanding that we are that greater technology. And so I always think of all tools, modalities, and these kind of things are all training wheels and just like kind of supporting us and holding our hand until we have it like fully down within ourselves as sovereign beings, because ultimately we're gonna like not need it. But yeah, even organite, even certain things that like people wear, certain stones will amplify the negative if one's not careful. So yeah, I just want to add that.
Well, think about how advanced we are as humans, that every form of AI out there, its main goal is to mimic a human and achieve what a human can do. Because like even when you're watching a movie or a video game, the CGI, the character, their goal with that technology is to make that person look as human, as lifelike as possible. They're trying to mimic us. And what does that tell you? That tells you we are the most advanced piece of technology in the universe.
Exactly.
That even AI, the biggest threat, can't even come close to what we actually are.
Has to suppress us to function. Yeah.
It can answer to us. Our consciousness is above it. I mean, we can inform the AI instead of the other way around. Sorry. Go ahead, Sharnael.
Well, and that's why off planet and everything else, they are so addicted to wanting our genetics, is because we're able to manifest. They can't. And when I'm doing like soul audits, I can see like what portion of your heart is actually open to be able to manifest. The more space that your heart is working at, the easier it is to manifest, because your heart is the biggest magnetized operational generator that there is. And so going back to what Tyler said about doing the inner work and clearing, you can't clear if you don't know that there's something to be cleared. And so it's really good to be aware and to be open to be aware of what is really there, so we can move it out and we can clear it. And then, like he said, the masculine, feminine, or the chakras, or what have you. What I'm seeing is, like, I use the map of consciousness with Dr. Hawkins, which I don't agree with everything that he believes, but I do use his map just because it's a really good map to use. But if anyone's over courage, which is 200, you know, goes 0 to 1,000. 0 would be like worst case scenario. 1,000's like Jesus and all the greats. Anyway, that's another thing. But yeah, when people are like 200, which is kind of low, but the average of what I see, usually they have 3 or 4 chakras out, and their masculine and feminine may be out. But once you start getting everything in rotation, all the energy centers going in the right direction and not hyper or over, guess what? The field gets bigger, the heart opens up, and the more that happens, the better we can manifest and use all the skills that we have. If you're in the negative, or you're inverted, or you're at like a 50, you're just going to really suck the life out of everyone and be on the planet just to be an asshole and suck off everybody to live and survive, you know? Yeah, and you're not going to manifest anything except for creating more chaos. So it's really important to be aware, because if we can just, or at least to have an opportunity to try to be aware, to clear, and to work, and maybe get with someone that can help you get everything balanced and working, because we have the potential to be 500, 600, 700, all the way up to 1,000. 500 is love frequency, God frequency. And like I said, the more that I'm working with people, I can see them go up scale just with being awareness and doing the few little exercises, and then their field gets bigger, and then they start having different patterns. And, you know, whether it's finances or partnership or more things with off-planet stuff or intuition, because a lot of these things off planet, they won't come down if you're at a low vibe. The only thing that you'll collect is like dark entities that are low vibe. If you're in the 20s and the 25, you'll start collecting negative entities that can attach, and then you're walking around like really working for them instead of being your own technology. So it is important that we work on ourselves.
Well, right. And they don't. Well, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, no, you go ahead. I'll go after.
No, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, I was just going to quickly say, no, you. The electric-magnetic energy, like the electric being male, the magnetic being female, you know, the biggest reason they've been able to really infiltrate is because of the imbalance of the masculine and feminine, and how they impacted the planetary grid network, and how that relates to the electromagnetic spectrum, and how they've been able to utilize weapons out of these kind of forces. So the AI would kind of be like the left brain that's gone kind of out of control into the technological, and then the right brain, you know, the more creative, imaginative, and, you know, related to the more magnetic sort of plutonic kind of energy has sort of been in exile, or, you know, and so like this process that we're like kind of going through in this integration of polarity is restoring the true template of divine union, alchemical marriage, hierogamic union in our DNA, which is actually revealing a greater love story. And I know I kind of talk about that all the time, but sometimes, you know, when it all sounds so complicated, I always kind of bring it back to that we're divorcing the imposters and cutting the cords with this inverted, like vampiric parasitic system, and kind of like breaking up with a narcissist abuser, or a bad step parent or parent that has mistreated us, and saying, wait a second, you know, and connecting with that truth frequency and finding that blueprint within, and then beginning to notice that is the true creation that exists around us. Everything else has been an overlay just to kind of create sort of this like false reality that humans have become addicted to, the addiction matrix. And it's addiction to the dependency of what the doctors tell you, what authority tells you. And when we cut that cord and we see what's truly going on, and we get those upgrades, there's no stopping it. Right. Once it goes, it's just like, because once you meet your true love, you're not going to turn the other way. And so that relationship with creation, when we really get it, we can't walk the other way, because it'll hit our heart and soul on such a deep level that it'll be that aha moment. And to me, that's what awakening is all about.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're talking about like they want us in a state where we're feeding the system and we're chaotic and all that stuff. And so when you really step back and ask why they're doing this, we understand why now. But I always look at it like this, because before I went through my awakening, I was like an atheist. I didn't believe in anything, actually. And I realized, that's the programming. That's what they want. They don't want you to believe in anything and therefore you don't believe there's any consequences for your actions. And it gives you a free pass to be an asshole.
Or they want you locked into a religion where you think you're basically, you're still giving your power away to outside of you, and you're basically living for after you die for a reward. And it's it's the opposite of sovereignty as well. And then, so atheism to me is just another religion. It's just a religion of believing, because you're having faith in nothing. It's the religion of believing, but nothing has meaning. It's kind of like nihilism in a way.
It seems like that's what they push, though. I don't know. So, but anyway, to finish my point,
they push both. But
to finish my point is, when you don't believe in anything like that, like you don't believe in karma, you don't like, oh, it's all so what I mean, they're pushing evolution as opposed to whatever actually happened. They're pushing that mainstream scientific evolution, that we came from monkeys and there is no life outside of Earth, and there's no
accident and
right. Now, if you believe that, if you subscribe to that, you could be the worst person ever, because you don't believe that there's going to be consequences in the next life or even in this life, because nothing matters and everything's happening by chance. That's their main goal. They want you to just believe that. And then that's why people walk around and you see all these people being assholes all the time. If you don't have an understanding of the bigger picture, you don't understand that when you're being an asshole, you're just really being an asshole to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all ego based too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's why Atlantis fell, because they were as spiritually advanced as they were still in their ego, and their greediness with the technology is what ultimately caused the fall of that civilization. Now, what we're seeing now is
being killed. Might equals right. It's that kind of consciousness. Like I can do whatever I want to do, and it doesn't matter, because if I don't, somebody else is going to do it to me. And so it's like fear based too. It's very, very fear based, and that's ego feeds off the fear. That's kind of what keeps ego going.
And they get addicted to it. It's like the left hand path and the left hand path kind of mentality and service to self. Sorry, keep going, Aaron.
Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. It's the service to self. That's like the law of one talks about. It's the service to self path but the self is not the true self. It's almost like the service to the false self, which is the ego that you think you are, and you're feeding that, and you get addicted, like you said, you get addicted to that and to things outside of you, money, power, fame, control. That's why the elites, they're so obsessed with control and power, and they can never get enough. They always have to have more and more and more control, more power. And money is just kind of a representation of that. When you follow the money and you look at how they have all the money, well, that money gives you power. That's why it's not really about the money. It's about the power and the control and that ability to manipulate everything and get us to continually locked into feeding the system that they've created and sustained. And they've turned the planet into a prison plant that is like a big energy farm that we constantly feed them through the system.
Well, fear, if there's fear and confusion, that's definitely free loosh. And also on a scientific level, you can be programmed so much easier if you're completely confused and scared.
Exactly.
So they're using everything to completely continue the program process.
Right. But as they throw out the psyops and the false flags to keep people in fear, they're also indoctrinating people into these distortions of the masculine and feminine, and kind of like, wanting to hook people into sort of a lower mentality as far as like sexual energy is concerned, or as far as like the divide and conquer and how people buy into it, or all the false narratives, false movements, the things that are funded to make it look like we're actually winning something or fighting for something, when it's all just like, how they own both sides of war. And so as they create these fear-based things, people are kind of in fight or flight, or sort of this unconscious trauma that they're easily like, sort of engineered to become a subpersonality of the masculine, feminine, and then we see all these broken relationships, all this gender confusion, and all these programs that, like, you know, don't represent like the divine feminine or masculine, and it's just like, who in the hell are we acting like? It's like, that's not us.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And it's all brainwashing.
Yeah, it starts from childhood with television, Barbies. Anyway, keep going.
Commercials, movies, everything is like completely programming this whole non-gender situation, where so AI looks even more, you know, appropriate, because it's like, I'm not in either. So next thing, what is it? You know?
Yeah, we broached this subject with Jay Widener, didn't we, the other week, Sharnael, about transhumanism and how they've tried to break down the consciousness and awareness for who and what we actually are. So we're in such a low place, not us, but, you know, humanity. They've tried to dumb us down so much that we have no idea of our capacity and our ability, so that they can come along and go, take this chip in your head and, oh, you'll have all these supernatural abilities or whatever, but they will control that chip.
Yeah.
They will control you through that, you know, technology.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is, you know, awakening spiritually, realizing we don't need any of that because we can already do this stuff. You know, and that's the difference. But like you say, it ties in with these sort of kind of political ideologies that they've really forced on us. And I mean, I see it in, you know, they're really going for the kids. You know, I look at it in my kids' school and in the education system and stuff like this, and it's everywhere. It's in kids' programs. They're really, really going for it. And I mean, my kids laugh at me because I'm like, well, there it is again, and they just sort of roll their eyes, you know. But I know they see it, and that's the main thing, you know.
That's what schools are. They're indoctrination centers.
Exactly.
They're not there to truly educate. If people knew what true education actually was, it would be obvious to everyone. You know, it's very obviously when the blinders are off, you know, it's very obviously just programming and indoctrination to serve the system. That's all school is, from a young age, to get you early, and then you don't know anything different. You're fully programmed and ready to go. Yeah, be a food source for the system.
That was really obvious to me over the past couple of years with everything that's going on. The most educated were the most incapable of seeing what was going on over the COVID situation.
Exactly.
So being like a kind of a dropout who had the worst attendance in my high school and not like paying attention, like it's like, I'm like, yeah,
it's paying off. Yeah,
exactly.
Paying off.
Exactly.
And how much of that actually mattered? You know, I used to tell I was terrible at math. I never did my homework, and I wouldn't have my homework, and my teacher would be like, Tyler, you don't have your homework again. And I would say, and guess what? In 50 years, it's not going to matter anyway. Like I said, it doesn't. I would like, it doesn't matter. Like, think about, I'm not going to be on the couch when I'm 50 years old regretting this moment. I would tell my teachers stuff like that, and they would look at me so dumbfounded. And just like move on. They didn't know how to respond.
It never made sense to me. Sorry, go on.
For yourself? How dare you? Yeah.
I can't wait till we recreate just how we guide our children to be the best of themselves, instead of forcing them to do well in subjects they don't have passion for, that they'll never pursue in life, that really doesn't matter. You know, it's nice to hold out options and to expose. But then once that fire is lit, it's like, then you really, really nurture that child and their passion and their calling and their starseed mission, no matter how much it might be something that you haven't even like ever been exposed to. Well, those are the leaders. This is the new wave of energy. So bring it on.
They are the leaders. Beautifully said. Yeah.
Right. I don't know about you guys, but to me, even as a sort of in school, the idea of getting a job just to make money to live and survive never made sense to me. You know, this whole system just never, like, I am. Money was always a hindrance to me. Like, I don't want to have to use that. You know, I want to do what I'm here to do. Why do I need to do this to be able to live? You know, it's just like, I don't want to do
something you hate that's like soul sucking just to provide, to support your family and to live. How does that make any like what's the point of living? What's the point of life if you're just gonna be in misery?
Well, you do a job and then you get hammered at the weekend to suppress the depression that you're in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the system that's created.
Authority, outer authority, and just the way the system is set up is the most invasive, rudest, most unbelievably I just can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Well, it's an inversion of truth
life
and of like God, you could say, of life. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what it lines up with the cabal. Is like they're a satanic anti-life cult, and they invert everything. They invert the true nature of everything.
And they pulled it off by, targeting self-esteem. Here's your reward. Yeah. Oh, you got A's. Yeah. Oh, you're going to be patted on the back. You're going to be considered successful, and it feeds people's ego and self-esteem or parental issues where it's like the outer system will, it's like you keep, trying to pursue this, success. Not to say that people aren't picking up unbelievable skills. And even if there is competition, I mean, that really drives a person to like really be at their best. So even though the system's collapsing, take all those skills and all those gifts and all that you learned and really honor it, because it's beautiful that you're able to go through it, but just divorce yourself from the part of it that is going to use your position or use your role to keep up a very dark, timeline, like we're seeing with doctors and teachers that are being compromised. Like, you're not going to be able to get your paycheck unless you do this. Yeah. I mean, they're being pushed to the limit right now, where that whole education, they're realizing, wow, I could lose my job and my livelihood if I don't comply to this outer authority. I think this is shocking people awake in the most unbelievably like traumatic way. But
well, the best way to trick a slave into believing they're not a slave is to give them a paycheck.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we see happening right now. And whenever you're in a soul-sucking job, like there's a trade-off, because my job in construction was becoming exactly that. And financially, I was, it made no sense for me to leave, but it was serving me no purpose in my life's mission. And I had to take that leap and step away from that. So now, where I'm no longer financially comfortable, I'm having to explore different avenues and different opportunities that I would have never had to do. But in return, I'm learning and growing in so many ways that I would have never done had I just stayed in the matrix and gone through the motions. And then, Craig, you mentioned how, at the end of the week, you just want to go get hammered. Well, that was me. But I always wonder, like, man, how am I ever going to get past this? Well, when I quit my job, all the cravings left. Every craving for alcohol I had literally left. And I realized, oh my God, it was an actual tangible program that was making me crave that alcohol. When I didn't have that 40-hour job, that Monday through Friday 40-hour work week, I wasn't craving that drink on a Friday night. I didn't want it. Like, it was all part of the program. And that was something I never expected to see happen with me transitioning out of that.
I think too that when you're doing what you love and you look forward to every waking moment of doing, I think all of us, I don't know if all of us, I've worked a lot of jobs and still work, but this I do, and I don't even get paid for, you know what I mean? It's like, I love doing this, and it's a passion, and I look forward to every time that we're doing this. And it's not like we're obviously making tons of money doing free, podcasts for everybody, but it's like, it's a mission, it's a purpose. It is what helps me get up in the morning. And if I didn't have all of you guys and the people watching over this last 2 years, I seriously don't know where I would be, because it's been a tough almost 3 years now. And, it's been the thing that's kept me going, with everyone leaving medical and everyone leaving teacher, and there's a mass amount of people who've left their jobs and are finding their real purpose and mission in this time. And that was a big wake up for so many people of, being forced-ish to make a choice. It wasn't a force, but it kind of was. It's like, you got to do this or you can't work here anymore. And it's like, well, you're probably not the best job for me then, right. I'm going to go find a purpose,
And what I love is that we've all kind of been there, right? And for a long time, that people are facing now. It's like, okay, you can't keep your job unless you comply, unless you push this on people. And we know what I'm talking about, something that like could be that's like a heavy thing to have on your consciousness, that you would comply to that because you're worried about a paycheck. You have to be a risk taker. You have to like seize the adventure. Because I had to live on the road for 10, 15 years, probably 20 years on and off. And live on nothing just to do the mission, because I'm like, there's no way I can carry on a career or a job and do the kind of mission that I'm doing, even though I've had every job under the sun, cleaning toilets, hotels, doing, you know, landscaping. I mean, every job under the sun along the way. But it's like, I'm going to have to pull myself out of all of this because this is a greater priority. And even if it means like, I don't know where my next meal's coming from, I know in that level of surrender, changing my perspective and staying in alignment, that's where I was able to manifest things that absolutely took care of me and had my back and connected me to the right people, the right synchronicities that got me to the places that I needed to be. But when I lost that perspective, that's when I was really down and out, like, oh, I'm totally screwed. But once I changed my perspective, and, you know, your book about miracles, you know, is all about that. Once you shift that perspective, it's like all of a sudden you're abundant. It's not because of what's in your bank account. You're abundant because you're connected to spirit. You're connected to your heart and your soul. And in those times where I really felt it, I just can't even believe what happened. And it was fun. It was like, I love adventure. And I wrote on Facebook the other day, like, the most insane circumstances I've been in have been the most epic. Like, you got to just like not be afraid, like embrace the adventure. And people might be like, oh, but I have kids. Well, I did it with twins, with a crazy partner that I lost along the way, living out of vehicles and out of a bus, you know, food stamps, 2 babies at the same time when I was like in my 20s. So if I can do it, anybody can.
I got 5 kids.
Yep.
I literally sold my blood for years, 3 times a week, just to, you know, do what I'm doing. So, I mean, I think we've all had our stuff, but it is what it is. And I wouldn't change anything, you know, it's, and I think you guys would probably have the same version or different version. And even people watching, you know, you're probably like watching this and going, you know, yeah, I relate. And it's still, there is an energy to being in your place, whatever that place is. There's actual a physical response in the body that gives you chemicals when you're living true, whatever true is for you. And maybe true is being in that 9 to 5. I'm not making, you know.
Well, some people's mission is in that job. I don't want to discredit anyone's career out there.
Broad brushstroke.
I'm happy for all the people.
If you feel you need to leave, embrace the adventure. If you feel you're where you need to be, embrace that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you need to be at that 40-hour job because of your vibe, because of your energy field, your frequency. You're affecting everyone around you.
Or maybe you have some lessons to learn from that job first before you can leave it. And that's what you got to really be in tune with yourself. And what am I getting out of this? Is this really where I'm supposed to be? You know, figure that out. And sometimes it is. Sometimes you're learning certain things and growing from it. But if you're not and you're dreading it and it's just like every aspect of it is not serving you at all, it probably means you need to leave it and
a lot of
do something that you actually is in line with serving you and your mission and your soul, you know.
Absolutely. And that's what's so important about tuning in with ourselves, because there's so many clients that like are sticking with their job, but they're taking on a leadership role. They're not backing down and they're able to change things that that might have been impossible. But you know, if that wall is too strong and you can't change it and you're being, you know, threatened and it doesn't feel right. Absolutely. It's like, what's so important is just staying connected with our intuition. Our soul knows. We have internal guidance that absolutely knows what's best for us, that we have to just like maintain a deep connection with all the time.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, I don't do what you guys do. You don't do what I do or Craig does or whatever. And like, I just went to a chiropractor or Starbucks or whatever. No, nothing against Starbucks or for Starbucks. I'm just saying, like, when I go out, especially after quarantine and whatever, and businesses have gone down and closed or whatever, it's like, I went to the chiropractor yesterday and I was like, thank you for being here. Oh my God. You know, it's just like, I feel such a sense of honor and like love for everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, no matter what that is. And we're diverse for a reason. It's because we all have different gifts and different ways to bless and honor and love people exactly where we're at. And when you're in line, you'll have the energy and the creation and the intuition and the drive to do those, whatever that is.
Yeah, diversity is the most beautiful gift that we can ever wish for, and that's why that's being hijacked also with the racism and all that stuff. They're making diversity a negative thing.
I know.
when
That's
it's actually our most beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing that actually allows us to learn and grow.
One of my favorite quotes is diversity in harmony is true oneness. Diversity is such a gift. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
I think we went a little bit over, but
yeah, it's a good conversation.
Yeah, I just with cross pollination, there's always a multiplication, and to keep us away from each other and separated and divided, that's not going to bring the multiplication that we need on this collective planet to really do what we're supposed to be doing. And so, any final words and where we can find you before we pop off here today for this time?
If you feel like coming to a conference in Grafton, Illinois in May, secretspaceconference.info. Those tickets are available. The tickets do include a meal plan, $444. That includes 4 days worth of meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have some complaints about the prices, but guys, nothing's cheap right now. And there is virtually no profit with this. This is literally all just for you guys. And we wanted to make it as affordable as possible. So please come out and hang out with us. We would love to meet all of you.
Yeah, my website's cosmicgaia.org. I look forward to being at the conference with you guys so much. I'm so glad you pulled it together. And pretty much all my information is on my website. So I'll just leave it at that. And I'm on, you can find my name on whatever social media platforms I'm still allowed to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Aaron, you can go ahead and plug the podcast since I forgot to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Journey to Truth podcast. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Rumble, whatever else. And the conference is secretspaceconference.info is a website to check that out. And
I'll put the link up here too, so you guys can find it really easy. I'll do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
And
love you all, and I can't wait to see a bunch of you in person in a month. So.
Right. And we're also on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram. We do have a Telegram channel for the conference and for the podcast. So follow us on there if you want to just keep up with, what we're doing outside of the actual podcast.
Excellent.
All right, Craig. And where can we find you?
Oh, well, guys, if you ever want entertainment in a rock version, I'm in a band called Ascension.
Nice.
I play drums. We are just about we're in not this weekend, the weekend after. We've got a gig in Sheffield in the UK at the Hard Rock Hell Festival, playing alongside greats like Rick Wakeman.
Oh, nice.
It's called Carl Palmer's there from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So yeah, we're doing that. So hopefully we'll get some footage from that. My wife and I run a crystal shop, crystalfalls.co.uk. I know things are difficult at the minute. We're in the process of putting some prosperity and abundance things together just to help people. Bundles. My wife's really good at stuff like that. And yeah, that's me. I'm on Facebook. If I'm not banned, you can catch me on there, Craig Martin Walker. It'd be great to meet people.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And yes, please do check all his stuff out, and definitely go to swiftfire.org. You can get my book, the audio. I have crystal card deck. I do soul audits and biofeedback, consultations, coaching. I'm really looking forward. I'm not going to be able to attend probably, but I'm going to look forward to hearing about it. And I know you guys are going to have a great time, and look forward to really, when we do meet in person, that's going to be awesome. And just thanks a lot for hanging out with us today. I enjoyed this conversation, and I hope we can do it again. I know I said that last time, and I still hope that we can do it again another time.
Yeah,
totally.
Definitely.
We'll create more in person too, and I get to see Sharnael in Montana in just about a week, so
I'll be up there in a
right.
week, and we're gonna
Thanks for making it happen.
Yes.
All right, bye, guys.
You guys have a great one. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Hey guys.
Nice to see you.
See you
Bye-bye.
later, guys.
Bye.